in God's name just happened? I think my computer blue screened or something. What in God's name just happened? I think. Oh man, I just ran up. Something happened. My computer my gaming computer that I played the audio on, looked like it blue screened or something. I have no idea. Well, anyways, that's an interesting way to start the stream off. I apologize for that. Terminator exploding sound. It sounded like there was a Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator movie, like malfunctioning or something. All right. Hey, Gabe, what's going on? How you doing? Hope everyone's doing well. Get this set up. Yeah, what was that? I have no idea what's going on. I don't know if my PC like restarted or something, or let's turn that down. But by the way, Master of Battle, thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. The what is it? 13 months, I think it was. 14 months. Thank you so much, my friend. Get a round of applause for Master of Battle. Get my headphones in. I don't know what that was. I hope my my other PC's okay. That's alright. Not gonna worry about it for now. Almost sounded like a blue screen or something. How you doing, Gabe? Alright. Well, let's get started anyway. We don't need music. That was just our little introductory music, but I guess my computer had other plans. So, first off, I hope everyone's doing well. I haven't seen you folks for a little bit. Oh, let me swap over my... we can just... Yeah, I'll put it on autofocus. Hold on. 1 second. I was recording something the other day. Some fly tying. I have some more videos that I'm working on. I'm in the process of editing the last one I filmed like a week or two ago. There we go. Well, that is strange. I wonder what happened to my computer, but my other computer. It's okay. We're not going to worry about it for now. Yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. I've been busy. I've been doing all sorts of things. I apologize. But we're doing a short stream tonight. I have to get up tomorrow morning and do some stuff, but I wanted to tie some albie flies. Now, there hasn't been any albies. Apparently, maybe somewhere up on the North Shore on Long Island, but there hasn't, like on the South Shore, even out in Montauk. There hasn't really been any fish. So I went out with AC Fishing last week it was, because he's like obsessed with bluefin tuna now. So we went and looked for some tuna and stuff. No albies, some small bonito, very small, and they're like tiny snappers. But so I don't know what's going on. I don't know if maybe they're just going to show up later in the season, which happens. But it seems like up in Massachusetts and places like that, they're doing pretty good. So I hope we get some fish showing up soon, because I really want to catch one. You know what I mean? But the past couple of years haven't been the best for us locally for albies. So I'm not certain. I wonder what happened to this PC. I wonder if it just restarted. It seemed like it crashed, but that's all right. You're taking a trip to the Salmon River this Wednesday. Nice. That's awesome, dude. I think who was up there? Craggerall, right? Unfortunately, he didn't get any salmon, but he got some other stuff, or caught some other fish while he was up there. But very cool, man. Good luck. Hopefully you go up there and catch a big salmon on the fly or on a conventional rod, however you're going to be fishing. If you catch any fish, post some photos in the Discord. Yeah. Strange. I don't know what that was. We'll see. Need to get more materials. Hey, how's it going, Tony? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. All right, so yeah, we're going to be just tying some pretty basic flies. In fact, we're just going to be tying some slim deceivers. These are another great alternative, because a lot of times I'll be fishing surf candies, Mickelsons, albihos, things like that. We're actually going to be what do you call it? We're going to be, oh, I got to open up my YouTube again. Let me do that. We're going to be tying some deceivers because a lot of times I don't fish them a lot. And the slim deceiver, which is essentially a slim down deceiver, much sparser and whatnot in material. Glenn Mickelson tied a lot of those. So when I think of those, that's who I think of. Okay. Yeah, that was strange. All right, so we got some mono thread on here. It's very simple. We're essentially just tying a deceiver. Now, real quick, I'll go over. We got some Bill's body braid. Okay. We have, let me zoom in here a little bit too because it's a pretty small hook. We have some saddle hackle, which we have the American, the whiting American rooster hackle. I just grabbed some random flash, so I got some polar flash here. And I got some size 2 Mustad C70 SDs, the old big games, which they changed them now recently. So, and then just some bucktail. So some different color bucktails we use. We'll probably tie some all white ones and some different colors. And these work great, obviously, for bluefish. Or, I mean, ideally not bluefish, but they do work for bluefish. Striped bass, bonito, Spanish mackerel, false albacore, all that. Another 70-plus tarpon caught this weekend, this time on Martha's Vineyard. I know, it's wild. It's pretty crazy. There's definitely something going on. All sorts of different fish showing up. When we were out there the other day, there were just whales, dolphins everywhere, sharks and stuff. It was wild. There's a lot of stuff out there on the water, so maybe we'll get our chance one day to get a tarpon, but it seems pretty unlikely. But it's more and more cobia, tarpon, redfish are being cut up here in the Northeast, so it's pretty interesting to see. I wonder if that sort of stuff is, you know, I'm always curious on, because this year my striped bass fishing was really bad. It started out, you know, like pretty decent in the spring, and then after like a week or two, I just couldn't catch a fish in the bay for the life of me. The fishing out in the ocean, though, was apparently phenomenal. Massive fish everywhere, striped bass and stuff. So I'm really hoping that the albie season is going to be good. It seems like it's good up north, but right now we don't have a lot going on, so I don't know what's going on. It's pretty crazy. The wind farms. Interesting. I mean, because I'm a commercial shell fisherman, I get so many letters from Empire Wind. They send me like literally like 2 envelopes a day, probably because it's required because I'm a commercial fisherman or shell fisherman. And it's pretty much just like, you know, oh, we're going to be putting in wind turbines here, and this is the impact, and there's going to be lines, and it's like crazy the amount of letters I'm getting because of it. I wish I could like opt out of it because it's pretty far away. I mean, it is an important thing, you know what I mean? But it's like ridiculous the amount of mail I'm getting about this. I think it's up on the North Shore somewhere they're doing this, or it's out by the city or something. There's already wind turbines out by Block Island and stuff, but I'm sure there's all sorts of environmental impacts from it and this and that. I remember people were talking about whales, that whales were dying because of it, and like I don't know too much on it, but you should see how much mail I'm getting from those people. It's crazy. I'm assuming it's required by law because, you know, they probably are you know, they're doing all sorts of things at the bottom and stuff, so they don't want commercial fishermen or shell fishermen to snag things and this and that. Plus, it's an environmental thing, so they're like, well, you do some of this stuff for a living, so here you go. You probably should be in the know about this. You got into muskie fishing, Gabe, and you bought some crazy lures. Oh man, I bet. Is it like striped bass lures where they're like, you know, $100 plugs and stuff like that, custom plugs that people buy? I know some muskie tires, man, they get some crazy money for their flies because huge, intricate, articulated flies and things like that. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm sure you can keep it budget. I just know some guys that spin fish out here that spend hundreds of dollars on like a single plug. You'll go to these fishing shows and there'll be lines out the door for a single guy who's got a table and selling wooden plugs and stuff.
1 week before India.
Before India, yo, 30 months with the Twitch Prime. Thank you, Craggerroll. Appreciate that, my friend. But give it up. 1 week before India. Well, enjoy, man. Enjoy your time. I'm sure it'll be a wild ride going over there, too. So, you are certainly, by the time you're going to be done with what you're doing, you're going to be quite the cultured individual traveling all over the world like you are. But thank you, Craggerroll. I hope everything's going good, man. I saw your Salmon River trip. Wasn't the craziest thing, but it looked like you had a good time, so I'm glad to see that. Get some Ally Flies hearts in the chat for our friend Craggerroll. 30 months. You don't fly fish for muskie? Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I know even the muskie fly tires, they get crazy money for some of their flies. Like giant beast fly creations, you know, and stuff. Hoping to bring tie and stuff, but I'm not sure if it's legal. Yeah, you have to check. I know certain places it's like you could bring synthetics, right? But I don't know about natural materials. I know, like, to Spain, I think you can't ship certain stuff. I know Chris at saltwaterflies.com has an issue with some of that. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put my filter back on. Let me do this. That was so weird. I wanted to have my computer earlier. You had your first follow the other day? Very cool. Yeah, it's muskie fishing seems like a lot of fun. It's too bad we don't have that here, but I think I'm going to tie this one in all white. We got our saddle hackle, polar flash, we got our body braid. Again, pretty small hook, a nice size too. Nice and sparse, thin hackle. And I think we're just going to tie this one all white. One of my favorite fly or deceiver colors. All white deceivers. Small ones right around this size. I need to get out and do some fishing. I've been waiting for the albies, but I should just get out and look for some bass or something. I wonder if maybe now that things are cooling down, maybe there's some fish in the bay that are moving around, getting aggressive. If not, maybe just go fish the ocean beach. You know what I mean? Just walk it. I was surfing YouTube, found a Tone Terranio. Is that how you pronounce it, perhaps? Crazy fly tying he does. Awesome ties. Yeah, there's some amazing fly tires on YouTube. Not only that, just like Instagram as well. For years I've been following some great people. Okay, gotcha, game. But very cool, you had your first follow. You know what? That's a little too much. Let's just take some of this bucktail, put it off to the side. I want to add a little bit more, so I'll take like half of that. Again, the whole idea behind this, we keep it pretty sparse. We don't want too much material. Just enough to have a nice little belly there on the fly. Now we'll grab some colors. Oops. Down in Florida. Tarpons, Bones, Reds. Oh, nice. Very cool. I'll have to check them out. Oh, followed one of the lures you made. Oh, very cool. Yeah, how's your lure making going? I'm going to take a little bit of chartreuse bucktail and put this on top. How's your lure crafting journey going? Very cool. Yeah, post some of your creations at some point. Some of your plugs. Have you made any more striped bass ones, or you doing any surf fishing with them? That's probably great. Making doing that for muskie. Probably a great way of utilizing your skill that you're learning. All right, let's get a little peacock curl. Put that right on top, right about there. I don't want it to be too long so it doesn't foul on us. 'Cause it can and it will. Kill to live in the Keys? Yeah, man, I bet. It's expensive in Long Island and New York. I wonder what it's like living down in the Keys. I'm sure pretty pricey. Just from the expense of stuff being delivered there. You know what I mean? Yo, Hayes. How's it going, man? How you doing? Uh, you have a second, Mike? Can you go over the reverse tie and hollow tie style? Yeah, sure. How you doing, Hayes? Give me 1 second. We'll do that here in a sec. We're gonna put a little 3D eye on here, or not 3D, little stick-on eye. Let's see. We might start setting some crab pots on Wednesday. I was like, oh man, are we going tomorrow? Wednesday, nice. All right, I need to grab some eyes. Let's see. I'm gonna go with some of these smaller eyes. Like that. Yeah, we'll show you a reverse tie here in just a second. Hey, Southern Fly Guy, how you doing, man? I hope you're doing well. It's good to see you. Yeah, the hollow tie is pretty simple. To like physically do. To master it? Oh man, I'm still struggling to this day. You want to see the master, you got to look at Andrew's Custom Flies. Andrew Warshaw, I think is how you pronounce his last name. Awesome guy on Instagram. He's like next to Bob Pop and some of these other amazing fly tires. Like Ben Wally and people like that. Or Gunner. You should really check out Andrew's hollow flies. He's, when I think of like the epitome of a perfectly tied hollow fly, I think of that right there. So, still learning myself how to tie them, get it as perfectly as the way I like, but we can get it working or get it functional. I'm looking all right. Might need to switch threads, but what we'll do is we'll do like a deceiver with a little hollow tie, and we'll do an Albie style just for fun. I'm gonna put a little UV resin on here because this is a deceiver. So we're gonna lock off the eyes here. Like that. He ties the beast flies. Yeah, it's the same concept, right? The hollow tie is... Are you talking about just a regular hollow tie, Tony? You're not talking about a... what's the name of that I'm thinking of, where it's a bulkhead, right? You're not talking about that, where you have the stub ends tied in, you trim that. You're talking about just a traditional hollow fly tie, right? Where you tie it forward or reverse, and then you fold it back and tie in front of it, and you have that profile. Doing good, man. Was on a 47-kilometer bicycle ride today. Oh, I forgot you got into bicycling, right? You're a diehard cycler now? Cycling it up? You can feel that now? I bet you can feel that. Jeez. 47 kilometers. Gee. Well, that's good. I'm glad. That's probably a quite a healthy thing to be doing. You must be getting in shape if you weren't already. Let's do a little hollow tie thing here just to show you. I'm going to put feathers in it and stuff too. We'll see how it comes out. Good for the old smoker's lens. Oh man, I bet. I couldn't imagine doing 47 kilometers nowadays. Just the hollow tie. Okay, yeah. I gotcha. Easy. Try and find a little bit of softer bucktail though, because this white bucktail is not very good. So that's one thing too, is having a bucktail that, you know, yeah, not every bucktail is created equal in terms of its quality and its softness, and you know, vice versa. So it's something you need to consider when you're tying hollow flies. we're going to take a couple feathers, put these on here. Let me see what this jabroni was saying. This whippersnapper wants to go crabbing. Early as hell. Of course. I think I've seen you tie a tube fly, but I may be wrong. Oh, yeah. We've tied tube flies. Unfortunately, I lost my tube fly tying accessory, but for shark fishing, that's the only thing we were fishing is tube flies. So tube flies are great. I don't really use them for striped bass or anything like that, but for things like shark or offshore flies, if you were, let's say, fishing for marlin, tube flies are almost like you have to use them. You don't have to, but it makes it like so much easier, especially shark fishing. So unfortunately, I lost my little tool that holds the tubes in the vise. So slammed a big core this weekend. Forgot the shotgun pose. Oh, nice, dude. That's awesome, Jay. I love to hear it. Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't been getting any fish down here. Like a couple here and there, somebody saw, like Jeff caught one, but it's mostly little bonito. I went out and it was just all cocktail bluefish, not even snapper blues out in the ocean and dolphins. But so I'm hoping some fish show up, man. There's like nothing out here. I heard even Montauk, there's not really anything going on. It's usually by now Montauk's starting to pop off, but it still could be a little early, I guess. That's me coping hard. Hoping. Coping and hoping. They are somewhat popular for salmon and trout. Oh, yeah, for salmon, very popular, I'm sure. Yeah, I think the advantage of the tubes is that they slide away and stuff like that. So you could like change the hook out, you know what I mean? Change the size of the hooks for the weight of it and this and that. Andre Neptune, okay. Fly Shack has the cheap one that works great. Okay. If you cut it, gotcha. Yeah, I'm sure. I swear it's just that little piece. It's like that little thing that sits right here. I have the rod and everything, so maybe I'll get lucky and just find it at some point. But there, I am gonna do one regular collar, a bucktail, then gonna do like a bucktail deceiver style almost, if you will. Just imagine we're doing a mini hollow fly in a size 2. Which they usually work, they're a lot easier to tie when you tie them larger with nice long soft bucktail. So this will really show the imperfections in my hollow tie, but that's okay. I'm just very hard on myself when it comes to this fly. I always struggle to get it absolutely perfect because I'm very anal about it, you know? But one day I'll get that Andrew Warshaw look to my hollow fly. Alright. Now this stuff ain't that bad, but it's a little stiff. Let's see what we got. Oh, we could use some blue. How about some blue? Do a blue collar over it. Yeah, no, he's been tying like that for years too. There was a time he was tying a lot before this. I've known him for a bit. We were chatting on Instagram. He's an amazing fly tyer. Good guitar player too. So get the shorter hairs out of the way. Kind of go like this. Cut it to the right length. So a lot of times bucktail will have a natural curve to it. I have the curve kind of going up slightly, so when it folds in, it'll kind of hopefully sit better. Because if you actually take like bucktail and cut it off, you'll see there's like a natural curve to it inherently. So I'm just lightly tying it right there. Make sure I leave myself some room. That's not the most. So in fact, let's redo that. Let's leave myself even a little bit more room. It's a fine balance of going too far back and too far forward, right? Because you are going to have to wrap. So leaving yourself enough room is really important. Line through lures we use here. I found 29 of tube pieces, the 3mm tube at a thrift shop. You wanted to try them out? Yeah, I'm whether or not I'm not certain like whether or not the material they use is like a super high strength tube or something, right? I think I don't see, unless it just like dissolves in the water or something, I'm sure it's probably usable, right? Nobody says you have to use fly tying tubes for tubes, right? Because before that, somebody probably just took like a straw or something or some sort of plastic thing and made something, or metal. I think they used brass, right? Didn't they use brass back in the day? Or metal? I'm almost certain they used metal, didn't they? Now that I think of it, like looking back on older books. We want to make sure it's tied evenly, top and bottom. So what do I mean by that? Hey, we want our material spread pretty good, but what I mean is right here, if you look, I think, let me take a look with my eyes. It looks like maybe, that looks pretty even. I don't want the thread, if you wrap the thread, it's not always going to wrap even, right? Sometimes when you wrap thread, it goes off to the side, top or bottom, meaning like the top is favoring more forward than the bottom. So you want to make sure that thread is perfectly flat, like even in the front, because when you fold it back, if the thread on the bottom has like either just from your natural wrapping or from the thread slipping on the material and there's thread underneath it, whatever it may be, if the thread isn't perfectly even top and bottom, when you fold this back, what you're going to have is essentially you'll see a pretty significant difference in where the material essentially starts to fold back. So this looks pretty good. I might wrap it a little bit more on the top towards the front. And I'm just going to fold that back. My trusty folding tool. Then we just get our thread on the side, because we tied the material top and bottom. We have a little gap on the side to get our thread through with no problem. Let's see if we got this looking good. We want our thread also, when we pull our thread through, we don't want it to catch any of these little bits. It's very important that you don't catch any of those tag ends or pieces. So now we can just wrap in front. And you can see, if you can see, let's see. That's pretty even right there. But the thing is, it looks like maybe on the bottom, or maybe on the top, it's a little bit more, it was wrapped a little more forward. Just ever so slightly. You can see on the top that it looks like it starts folding back a little bit before where the bottom is. But other than that, that's pretty good. So now we're going to wrap. Build up our thread wall. Yo, Avina, what's going on? Long time no see. It's good to see you again. I wasn't streaming that much anyway, so I was doing a lot of work last year, but it's always great seeing some names that I haven't seen in a while in this chat, so I hope everything's going well. So now, also wrapping top and bottom at this point, meaning that whether your thread is perfectly straight or when you're wrapping it, it's favoring one to the other. We're trying to keep it straight, but now you can almost, if you did screw up, you can kind of manipulate that thread a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll roll that thread on the top a little bit more forward. And you can see, like, if I wrap my thread perfectly perpendicular, it wraps pretty good. But you can wrap it in a way that you can kind of favor. It's ever so slightly, but it will end up making a difference. And then we don't wrap on top of the material, we just wrap in front of it. And that creates our thread wall. And depending on how much of a profile you want, I'm going pretty hard on it, but we can back off on it and we can open it up a little bit. So when we swim it in the water, it's going to have a larger profile, you know. So right there is pretty good. And now I'm just going to whip finish and hopefully not catch the bucktail on the way. Working on the boat. Yeah, we took that boat out, fished with it a bunch, and then my trim unit broke, and I've been broke ever since. So, but haven't used it for like a year and a half now, I think, or 2 years. So I'm hoping next year I can get that trim unit replaced. It's a pretty pricey thing. So, but we've been fishing from shore, and last year we were pretty much commercial shell fishing and commercial fishing full time. So this year I was pretty much like part-time commercial shell fishing and trying to get a lot more fly tying done. So, and be a little bit more prevalent on the streaming side of things and fly tying videos on YouTube. So, that's all right. Things happen. Boats break. You know what I mean? They're like race cars. But we'll get it fixed up. Luckily, I have a bunch of friends with boats. Everybody I know has a boat out here, so we can always hitch a ride with somebody and do some fishing. If it's broken, it costs you money. If it's fixed and it costs you money, that's a boat. But, you know, that's the price you pay to go try and catch sharks and albies and stuff, so I gotta fix it. But I also have a lot of bills and stuff like, you know, just normal expenses like every human being, so trying to be responsible and not, you know, fall behind on things, so the boat can wait a little bit. I'm going to have to cover it, actually. I cleaned it in the spring, but I'm going to wash it and clean it and cover it up for the winter. I don't have a race car, but my daily driver just had to get fixed. $900 right there. Oof. Yeah, it cost me a pretty penny to get my truck back on the road, and then my differential cover blew out on the highway, so we had to do that in the driveway, and that was nothing but rusted nuts and bolts from, you know, however many years of backing the truck into the water from the previous owner and me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we still got the kayak. The only problem is I'm getting older, and that kayak weighs 100 pounds, so in between them there was a lot of, you know, back injuries and stuff that have happened since then. So it's quite a process to fish with that thing. But anyways, here's the hollow fly. The final profile on it. Nice as usual. But we're making do. We're making do. We might take the kayak out again at some point. I've been trying to focus a little bit more on YouTube as well. So I have the new Easy Body Surf Candy video, or the new Easy Body Candy that's getting finished up. I have to do a little bit more editing. It's been taking me a little while, but been busy recently. I'm trying to get that, I'm trying to stay on top of things. Not make one video, you know, every like 6 months. I'm trying to stay busy. Patch of bad luck. My car broke. Had an infection in both eyelids. Oh, God. And that's I wanted to go ride my bike and it broke. Yeah, good thing you weren't buying lotto tickets that month. All right. Let's tie another deceiver here. And again, I didn't want to stream too long, but let's whip up a couple more deceivers. We have time for that. Let's see, did he text me back? No. Just gonna be early. Roger Dodger. Grab a little bit more bucktail here. Luck and gambling, that's something. Luckily, I'm not a gambler because I have a very addictive personality, so I said, nope, I ain't messing around with that. let's see. Recently, I've been binging on the TTRPGs. So I have a second YouTube channel, Mike Rolls Dice, which is kind of like just a little side project thing that. But I've been getting the urge to get a solo thing going, so I just recorded the other day my first episode of Frygazar Dragonborn Ranger. But so I'm not going to. I'm gonna like this is gonna be in the winter time. I'm gonna edit this, so I'm just playing Savage Worlds, having fun solo, and using the Mythic GM to kind of help guide it, and then record as much of it, and until if I want to keep going or whatnot, I can always pause it, and then I'll work on it over the winter. So, hey Joe, how's it going, man? I got to ship out your fly here soon, but don't worry about the shipping or anything either. By the way, bud, it's all good. I appreciate you tuning in. Kayaking for the first time this weekend. Nice. Very cool. Oh yeah. Well, so a lot of kayaks too are like they're I mean, nowadays they're getting larger and heavier, but a lot of regular sit-in kayaks or sit on top even like, your simple kind of like just riding kayaks that aren't like specialized for highly specialized for fishing, let's say. Um they're generally like maybe like 40, 30 pounds, maybe up to 50 or something. But this thing's like a canoe, man. So it's so nice because I can stand up and fish on it. But the other thing is it's so immobile. If I got a regular kayak, that would be a lot harder to like fly fish out of. I probably would fish out of it more, but that's okay. Hey, no problem, Tony. I'm glad that helped. Obviously, a lot of practice and knowing the right amount of bucktail. Yeah. Yes. And it's also how to know, like I said, selecting the right stiffness of bucktail, ideally pretty soft. The other thing is it really heavily is based off thread manipulation, the tension of the thread. I mean, it's literally an art manipulating bucktail in that way. And I'm not in the Picasso level, you know what I mean? I'm at the college student level or something still after all these years. So, because it's not really my specialty. I don't, it's not the main thing I do. But so like getting the right length of bucktail so that when it is folded back that it's all tapered. I'd say really the hardest thing other than getting the physical tie perfectly right to get that evenness top and bottom and the amount of bucktail is with the length of the collars as you tie up, moving up the hook shank and getting that overall profile, from the material tapering along the way. That's one of the hardest things. So, but you tied up a couple flex flies, Joe? Nice, dude. I'm glad. Well, we got easy body coming next. Break out your easy body. Gotta work on that. I think I just gotta like get the audio perfect on that thing and we'll be good. You love a a proper sit-on top kayak for fishing. Yep. The other thing with sit-in kayaks where you're physically inside of them, you're like enclosed. Personally, those scared the crap out of me because if you've ever flipped one over, it's not easy to flip it upright at times, and there's like a you can get out of it, but some of them there's almost like a suction effect at times or something like that. So I gotta turn this mic down. I'm sorry if that was a little loud. So I would, I like to sit on top. You fall off. Worst case, you can flip it, and you can try and get on top. And that's the other thing. If you've ever flipped a sit on top kayak out in the water, and then have tried to get back into the kayak, that can be tough at times as well, especially if you're in waders. So that's something like you should really practice when you get a kayak. If you go fishing, like seriously, you're out there, especially in like November and stuff like that. Because I didn't do that. I was going out there doing dumb stuff. And then I finally tried it one day. I was like, man, this would be tough. I was able to do it, but imagine you were like freezing cold or something, So you just flip the kayak with nothing on it out in the water and then just try and like go deep enough, like right near shore to where you try and flip it back and like get on top of it with your upper body strength or like your legs. Because you could easily just reflip it The kayak I have is like super heavy, so it doesn't flip easily, and then it's easier to climb back into because it's got a wider keel. But because of that, it weighs 100 pounds with nothing in it, you know. So, anyways, that's the kayaks. Good old kayaks. You gotta love them. I had some good times out on kayaks, by the way. Good times on kayaks. Doing some really dumb stuff, like just middle of the night, going out to like essentially like a sandbar marsh bank island in the middle of this natural channel on the South Shore. It's right by Fire Island National Seashore. It's called it's a federal park, Fire Island National Seashore, and took the kayaks out, went out, outgoing tide, rode it to the island, just made it, almost got sucked out the inlet and this is with my buddy. And then I've told this story many times if you watch the channel, but if you're new, maybe it's always a good one. And then we waited for the incoming tide. And this is like it's a natural inlet. It's not man-made, so it doesn't have, like rocks and stuff. It's just pure sand. So when you fish from shore on the inlet banks, I guess you could call it, like people get sucked in because the sand swoops out from under you. So you feel the sand physically like moving under your feet. It's really freaky. I personally did not like fishing there, especially at night, because you wade out a little bit and so it's super dangerous. So we get across with the kayaks, me and my buddy, fishing, nothing. It's starting to get cold. It's like October. All right, well, it's like 2 hours into incoming tide. And it's like pretty dark. You can see the water moving, but we're like, why is it looks like it's still moving out, right? And there's like 3 hours in incoming tide. All right, we got to just go for it. It seems like it's going out, but maybe it's coming in. There's just an eddy here or something. And all right, so we go for it. It's like 3 a.m. or something like that. We go launch the kayaks, right? The second I like leave the shore, I'm like getting pushed out of the inlet, but something explodes right in front of me on the water. And I guarantee you I know what it was. It was like a big seal. I like spooked a seal, and it just slapped the water as hard as it could. Now, I thought I was getting attacked by like a shark. You know what I mean? It's like 3 a.m. I'm already freaking out because I'm like, dude, we're going to get sucked out of the inlet. I'm going to lose my $1,300 kayak because I'm just going to have to like jump off of it because it's such a like unnavigable inlet that like you would just end up dying over there, you know? So this thing explodes. I'm like, whoa, I start yelling. My buddy's like, whoa, he's right behind me. And I have like my motor, he's paddling with his foot pedals and stuff, and my motor's like struggling. I'm like, oh, we're under attack. I'm like screaming. We just made it to the other side, and we had to jump out of the kayaks. We like made it like right at the edge of the bank where it bends in, and we had to walk our kayaks for like 2 hours because the current was so strong. My battery was dying. He was tired with his Hobie. And, like, we had to physically walk the kayaks because the current was so strong there. And it never, like, I guess it was incoming tide, but on that side, because it's a natural man-made, or a natural inlet, it's constantly moving and changing with the sand. It just never, like, that side never had the incoming current. It was just constantly, like, dumping out on that side. But, yeah, we were like, all right, well, that was dumb. It took so long to get back. My battery was, like, almost fully dead by the time we get back to this boat ramp. The best part is, as we were leaving, I was, like, sparking up a big old Dutch master. And I'm, like, looking around. I'm like, all right, cool. Up on the kayak, like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? And I look over, and, like, I don't even know how this happened. It was like super windy. I look over to my right, like 10 feet away from me, the wake. There's like a bay constable just looking at me. I'm like, and this was years ago. I'm like, oh, hey. And he just wave and he's like, and like takes off. Like fucking wakes me. I'm like, dude, what the? Oh, man. It was a wild trip. Good old times in the kayak. That was with our, the mod on this channel. Yo, it's okay. Good times. Good times. So anyway, that's my little kayak story for the night. Yeah, it was exactly what not to do. Like, everything was what you're not supposed to do. Other than the fact that we had lights. We did have lights, and we did have life vests and a flag and everything. So we were good. We were all good there, you know what I mean? but the process of decision making fell apart definitely. Thinking that it was a good idea to go to that island, like assuming that on incoming tide the tide would go in, there when it's a purely natural inlet that's constantly moving and changing. So that was definitely a lesson for sure. But you got to learn in some way. You know what I mean? I tell you what, that Minn Kota, that was like, I don't even think that was the white motor, because I got a 40-pound, I want to say, Minn Kota, or 45-pound saltwater Minn Kota motor. This was like with the Walmart 30-pound thrust one that was like $100. That baby was like probably smoking hot by the time I got back that day. And then I got a saltwater specific like riptide. I cut the shaft of the motor down because it was too long. It would for the kayak. Cut it too short, so that was fun. And to where it would hit the side of the kayak if I turned it too much. But it was way stronger, you know what I mean? Especially with, then I put rudders on the back, so I have rudders as well. So I still have everything, it works, but I just have a Suburban, a big truck, and getting that thing on top, man, it's like going to war. It wouldn't be so bad, but then after like fishing for 4 or 5 hours, and standing on the kayak and then trying to get it back up, I tried and like I almost died. I was like, no, we ain't doing this. I'm definitely going to throw my back out, so I can still use it, but I just got to fix my boat. So hopefully we make some money green crabbing coming up here soon. I also need to get money from multiple people, so hopefully that gets settled soon. All right, that looks good. A nice little mini deceiver again. During the day? Yeah, right? You would think. One would think. But, my buddy lives out in Queens, so it takes him a while to get here. So that's not, if you're going at night, you got to go. I think it was like after work we went and did this on like a Friday night or something. Should have put like a note on the windshield. Like, if we aren't back by this time, search for our bodies over here. No, I mean, we were, for the most part, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was definitely not a smart thing to do. But just staying, like, if I started freaking out, especially like when we were going out of the inlet and, just rationally we're making bad decisions, things can go wrong. But if you just keep your head cool, we were able to get out of it. We weren't like, dude, we're dead. We got to call the Coast Guard. But, it was sketchy, to say the least. Yeah, I'll never forget that seal slap in the water, man. The second I pushed off, I'm like already nervous, right? Because I'm like, if we don't make it, then you start getting sucked out the inlet. And you can't like land very easily because the sand is really soft and like just collapses because it's like quicksand almost on the banks there. It's very a precarious situation. I'll never forget watching people go through there with a boat, like at night, drifting through there, because literally every day sandbars change and everything. And out in the middle there, there'll be like giant sandbars and waves, and who knows what's going on out there. So you see boats going through there, and you're like, oh my God, dude, I don't even think the Coast Guard will help you if something happens over there, you know what I mean? They're like, what are you doing going through there? Like, why would you do that? I remember we were fishing at night, we see the lights. What are these lights? You see this boat just drifting and things going up and down, drifting through there. We're like, oh, dude. That guy, apparently he knows what he's doing, or he has no idea what he's doing. One or the other. All right. Let's whip up one more deceiver here. Just wanted to hop on and do a little bit of tying. I'll make sure we do some more tying later this week. We've been pretty busy with stuff, so my dad just recently went to Turkey and stuff as well, so we're doing all sorts of stuff around here. But again, I appreciate everybody tuning in. I hope everybody's been doing well. Look forward probably at some point Probably like Friday or something like that. We'll have the new fly time video come out, so I'll get that edit done. We'll probably end up doing another stream, maybe Friday night or something, or Saturday. I think some stuff's going on here on Friday, so I might not be able to. I might not be streaming earlier in the day, so maybe it'll be a nighttime stream, like tonight. Let's go with a little bit more bucktail here. All right, let's see. We are going to tie our hackle on as usual. But how's everyone's fall season been doing? If anyone's been doing this fishing this fall, I know some folks have been catching. Some folks have been doing pretty good. I don't know if any folks here on the island, but I saw some folks or some people perhaps catching some albies, probably up north. My buddy Dave, who's a captain, but I'm really hoping we get some fish down here. It's I gotta keep the hopes up though. We can't. It's like an albie depression. The past couple of years, they like show up for a little bit and leave, and then me and my buddy Jeff are just like, man, everything sucks. No albies sucks. Everything's stupid sucks. Like like that sort of albie moping. So really hope these fish show up. You only get to see them once per year, so it's something we look forward to every year, but hasn't been consistent. Friend was out fishing, sun had gone down, he was standing in the water wade fishing, then he turned, saw something beside him, headlamp, two eyes were staring at him, made a little funny sound. Yeah, seals are very inquisitive. So when I'd be out in my kayak, I would feel like I was getting watched, right? That's the only way you can describe it. And there's got to be some sort of natural, adaptation as humans from, it's like prey sense or something, like predator sense that prey animals have, or just, animals in general. And you just feel like something's watching you. And then every once in a while you turn around, you'd see, just as you turn around, there would just be like a seal that was like be going underwater. And like I would, every once in a while I'd be sitting there fishing, and like there'd be this giant gray seal that would just come up, and he would just be sitting like 5 feet away from me and just watch me, like the whole time I was fishing. These are big seals, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure they were gray seals or something. I could be wrong, but they're just, I don't know, they're just super inquisitive. I think they're just waiting for you to like hook something so they can grab it or something. They're just waiting for you to hook a bluefish or something. They must. It's either that or they're just super inquisitive. I think they just like following you and just, they're just like very curious creatures. I think they're gray seals. I'm not certain. Maybe somebody could look that up. What the main seals we see out here on Long Island. You'll see them beaching on the South Shore. Stuff like that. They're big. I mean, I'd say they're probably at least 250 pounds or something like that. I mean, they're probably, what, like I'd say at least 6 foot long or something like that. Probably larger. They're probably around there. Maybe a little bit longer. Do you fish a sinking or intermediate for albies and stripers? Both. And floating. Everything. We were out. I was fishing top water because there were some fish blitzing on the surface, some like small bonito and bluefish. I was using my floating. But then you can also throw a full sinking and get down deep and just strip it faster if you need to. Or you can just go with the best, in my opinion, which is intermediate, because that way you can, either let it sink or you can strip it slow and it won't sink too much, but it'll sink. You can almost fish floating lures with it, But you can really fish any, like especially in the fall where we're fishing off boats or we're fishing by the inlet, you know what I mean? If I'm fishing off the inlet, generally intermediate or sinking, but we don't want to go too fast sinking so you snag stuff. So, I mean, really each line has its place, but you can get around the season just fishing a sink tip, just fishing a floating line, just fishing an intermediate. One or the other, Harbor, gray, hooded, and ring seals. Yeah, so it's either the harbor or the gray seals. Specifically, you would see like I think certain gray. I don't think the gray ones get that big though, so they might be harbors. You do see gray ones, but yeah, I'm not a seal expert. We wouldn't see them a lot. There's a certain bay, the Mauritius Bay, has a lot of seals. That's where this would happen all the time. That bay in particular has a lot of seals. And not just during the winter we get seals that kind of hang out on the beaches, stuff like that. They must either they're resident or they migrate here. I don't know. But in Mauritius Bay, the seals kind of even during the summer, in the fall and stuff, you get a lot of seals that are in the bay swimming around and stuff. So it's always interesting. They would just be like spying on you. You get this like really eerie feeling that there's like something watching you. You're like, oh, must be a seal around, creeping on me, for whatever reason. I just picture that thing just yanking me off the kayak. You know what I mean? It's not a rational thing. I don't think it would, but if like a large adult seal wanted to, they could probably just flip my kayak. You know what I mean? Maybe not the predator. The predators are pretty big, especially with me on it. But then again, did you guys see the footage of the two women getting swallowed by, or not swallowed, but going into the mouth of a humpback as it was coming up and eating fish? That was pretty wild. And then spit them out like moments later, and there's like literally you see the GoPro of them in it, and they get like swallowed and taken under by the whale and then spit out. That was crazy. That's probably like I'd rather have a tiger shark like come up and smack a bait right next to the kayak or like try and bite the kayak than literally get swallowed by a whale. Ejected out the blowhole? I don't think that's how the anatomy of that works. No, just spit him out, you know what I mean? Out of his mouth after like a couple seconds. But they were like probably pretty confused. I'd be worried about getting knocked out, you know what I mean? Like whales in general. Like even swimming in the water near a whale, if you get hit by like, I'm pretty certain by a tail fluke by a lot of these whales and stuff, like you could break bones and stuff. So I don't know what like the power of that thing's jaws. Like I'm imagining it probably can tell that it has that in its mouth, an entire kayak, 2-person kayak, and was like spit it out, you know? Didn't chomp down too hard, but imagine it just like crushes you like whoosh. I was watching one where 2 hammerheads were circling a kayak at sea, though. Kept using his paddle to smack away. Oh, man. Now, there's like the great oceanic hammerheads. That would be terrifying because they're like, I forgot what they're like 13 feet or something, like huge. Yeah, I've never kayaked in the ocean. And then, what was it? 2 years ago when we had my boat, we saw a fin sticking out of the water. Turned out to be an 11-foot great white. Just pulled up. I have some really cool photos of me holding my fly rod. And like I was like casting and stuff, but not obviously not trying to hook that damn thing because I don't even think you can catch that with a conventional rod. You know what I mean? It was like an 1,100-pound great white. But it was so cool seeing that thing. If you're in your kayak near something like that, man, that thing could flip your kayak. I don't think they would mess with it, but imagine that thing came up and just took a chunk off, like bit the front of the kayak and like pierced it or something, you know? And you're like out there. I think after that you'd be okay, but or just that thing like chases a seal and the seal's like trying to get onto your kayak, you know what I mean? Oh man. That'd certainly be wild. Mother Nature's crazy. There's that footage of the humpback jumping out and hitting that boat, like capsizing a boat, like knocking people out. And when we go fishing out in the ocean now, there's so many humpbacks out here. It's crazy. We're like looking at whales. We're like, I think that's not a humpback. And we're sitting there fishing. And this humpback comes up and just comes flying out of the water. Like, you know, its mouth is like, whoosh, probably like 15 feet away. I'm like, yeah, maybe we should move, Aiden. Yeah, well, it was a humpback. I was like, nah, it's a pilot whale. I was like, nah, we're good. We're good. Thing came up and it had I guess the pectoral fin is its main side fins, if I'm not wrong. I always forget. It was slapping one of its fins on the water. It was swimming sideways, fins sticking out of the water, and it was slapping its fin and it was so loud it sounded like there was a bomb going off because it was like 100 feet away from us. It's like boom, and I'm pretty sure what it was doing, it was knocking parasites off of its fins. And then it was like literally swam underneath the boat, started eating bunker. We're like, oh my God. I'm like, dude, we got to move. Because this thing, like, you hear its pectoral or its side fins smacking the water. Imagine if that thing jumps out of the water and hits the boat. Because it was just like, you know, a couple weeks ago, that footage of that humpback capsizing that boat. It's one of the reasons why I don't think you want to be like directly in the middle of a bunker pod. You want to be on the edges. You know what I mean? If you sit in the middle of a giant bunker pod, you're kind of asking for some trouble with how many whales are out here. It's like, it's pretty crazy. You'll probably see about 3 or 4 humpbacks. And a lot of times they hang out. They're like moving through the bunker schools, feeding and stuff. So you'll see them for like quite a while. You'll be fishing and they'll be moving through, coming back around, and it's really cool to see. A lot of dolphins, which is always fun. They're pretty shy. They're not like these dolphins you see in like down south or somewhere, you know, where they're like jumping behind your boat wake. Over here inshore, they're very like skittish. I wonder what the reasoning for that is. I know offshore apparently they'll like swim behind your boat wake and stuff. It might be a different type of porpoise for all we know or something. Maybe they just know stay away from boats so they don't get smacked by propellers and stuff, you know? Idiots driving around. Right, like driving right next to dolphins or something. You would think they would probably move, right? I know whales have a harder time. You'll see whales with propeller marks, but that's why you try not to just ride through bunker schools. You ride around the sides. But some people don't care still. Oh yeah, I mean, there's like you'll see seals like jumping on people's boats when they're getting chased by killer whales and stuff, you know what I mean? The whale watch tour has been raking in the does. Oh yeah. I bet. More whales than I've ever seen off the beaches in 33 years now at this point. Getting closer to Denmark. Yeah, man, there's sharks everywhere. A lot of different species moving around in general. Like, look, we got tarpon, and there's always people have always said they were tarpon, but now we're like seeing actual solid proof of people catching tarpon in New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts. It's pretty wild. You know what I mean? And it's not like becoming a thing, like a regular thing, but maybe it will become a regular thing, you know? It's previously in the past we've heard from commercial fishermen in the bay and stuff that had fish traps, which are those like nets where they have the poles set up and the nets that run down, and there's like a basket at the end, so they can come and like at low tide take fish and then throw away what they don't want, so it still lives. It's a nice way of fishing. You have to check it regularly and stuff, but reporting, you know, catching tarpon and stuff in nets, so or seeing tarpon on the flats. You know, probably while clamming or something. I haven't personally, but you'll see interesting stuff. Giant cownos or giant rays, you know, even some sharks and stuff, or just, you know, all sorts of random things. But stripers dry up, I'll take tarpon any day. Hell yeah, you see me chucking stew ape flies on the flats out here in New York for tarpon. You sign me up. That'll be more exciting than fishing for striped bass in the summer, I'll tell you that much. Take that any day of the week. Oh, man. All right, well, I didn't want to stream too long because I'm pretty exhausted today, but I did want to stream for a bit and just kind of catch up with you folks and do some fly tying. So I'm glad tied up some deceivers and whatnot, and a nice little hollow tide tutorial for you, Tony, here. But we're probably going to be streaming again maybe like Wednesday afternoon or something like that, or Friday. We'll see. I'll let you know in the Discord. I'm working on some new YouTube videos as well. I'm trying to make sure I spend some time doing that. But thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you folks had an awesome night. Again, short stream, but we'll be streaming again soon. So I'll let you guys know in the Discord. Everybody on Twitch, thank you for watching. All the folks on YouTube. We had like 20 people watching on YouTube at one point. So shout out to all the tubers. Give yourself a round of applause in the chat. Everybody on YouTube, by the way. Give it up. Give it up. Joe, Jay, Gabe, thank you. Everybody else that was lurking in the background, I appreciate you. And again, Avina, Tony, Hayes, good to see you again. And Avina, good to see you again. Maybe we'll see you around at some point. We had Craggroll with the 30 months, Master of Battle with the 14. Thank you, my friends. Appreciate that. It's very, very kind. So I'll see you folks probably later this week, all right? If not, have a great week. I'm sure we'll stream again at some point this week, so I'll let you know. But fly's looking good. Thank you for sharing the knowledge. Oh, well, thank you, Ian. It's very kind of you. It's good to see you again. I hope everything's going well with all you folks. So you guys have an awesome night, and I'm gonna take it easy, all right? So we'll see you guys later. I'll let you know in the Discord when we're going live next, all right? Have an awesome week, all right? Peace.